In this video, I'm going to show you how you would upload a podcast to one of the hosting services. In this case, it's going to be Spotify's one because that's what I use for the machine. I'm going to actually use the machine feed, but I'm going to take it all the way up to actually publishing it, but not actually pressing the publish button, because this is just a dummy podcast. But if you press publish, off you will go and it will be available for everyone. So if you open up a browser, again, I'm on a Mac. It's exactly the same for Windows. Doesn't matter what you're using. It's the same. So it's Spotify Podcasters, although they've actually changed it now. They're calling it Creators, because for reasons. So if you search for that, that's what it is. Spotify Podcasters. You will need an account. If you have a Spotify account, you can just update. You can upgrade that to a creator account for free. You just have to fill out some forms. I already have one created though, so I'm just logging straight into this. So here we are. I have a whole load of podcasts in here that I look after. This is where they're at. So the machine for some reason is split in two. There's one that's just for the Spotify plays and then one for everything else. I don't know why that is. It's some strange thing about the platform. It's the only one of the podcasts that does that, but it has the highest listenership. So maybe when it goes above like 100,000 listeners or something, it does this. I don't know. Anyway, that's a by the by. If I wanted to do a new episode, okay, I here upload your audio or video, and there's also things there, resources. There's some good stuff there. Oh, you have Riverside built in if you want to use that. They've got some tools. Yeah, exactly, just some links. So I have my dummy podcast. This is the one that I created earlier with the sound that I got from Freesound. So I would give the episode a title. So I'm going to say dummy podcast. This is a dummy podcast, not real. That would be the audio description. So this is what would appear as the show notes in a podcast app. So if I open this in Apple Podcast, I would see, it's called Dummy Podcast, and then the text is, this is a dummy podcast, not real. Art, so I have episode art. I do have my silly dummy episode or dummy podcast art. I'm not going to upload it because this isn't for real. There's a couple of content checks. You will see this. So if your podcast is explicit, i.e. if it's not to be listened to by under 18s, you can mark it as being so. Also, if it contains ads or promotional material, you might want to mark that as being yes. In this case, it doesn't, so I just leave it no. If I want to add polls and things like that, if this was part of a series and I wanted to enter a season number and an episode number, I could do that here. So season 5, episode 12 or whatever it might be. In this case, it's not. There's nothing like that. I'm just going to leave it blank. This is if I want to allow Spotify users to comment on the episode, I can put that in there. Yeah, it doesn't matter really because I'm not going to do it. So I'm actually not going to publish this. So what I would do is, if I wanted to save this, I could schedule it or publish it now. I am not doing that. I don't want to. I can preview it. The little dog laughed to see such fun, and the dish ran away with the spoon. Ring, ring. I don't want to publish this because it's not real, and there's actually real listeners for the machine, so I don't want to confuse them by having this dummy episode going up. So I'm just going to cut out of that, and I'll save the draft. So it's there if I wanted to go back to it as a draft. But obviously, if you were doing this for real, you could, just press publish and off you go. And usually takes, once you press publish, it can take about an hour for it to find its way to all the various podcast apps. I suppose they refresh themselves at different rates, but usually within an hour, it's available pretty much everywhere. So it's as simple as that. If you can, it's like uploading something to social media. There's not a huge amount to it. The work is actually in creating the podcast in the first place. So there you go. That's podcasters or creators for Spotify, or Spotify for creators as they're calling it now. Acast, very, very similar. Podomatic, very, very similar. they're all just variations on the theme. Hope you find that useful.